Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandna.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and on the show today, senior Pentagon officials have arrived in Ukraine to discuss efforts to end the war with Russia. And this as a new US peace proposal is drawing attention for terms that would require Ukraine to cede territory and sharply reduce the size of its military. We'll get you all the details on the show today. Stay tuned.
And in India, after steering the NDA to a sweeping win in the Bihar Assembly elections, Nitish Kumar will take oath as Bihar's Chief Minister for the 10th time today. Prime Minister Modi, along with Home Minister Amit Shah and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, they will be attending the swearing-in ceremony at Patna's Gandhi Maidan. We'll get you all the latest from that. Let's start with the headlines.
Donald Trump says he has signed a bill requiring his administration to release files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. US Attorney General Pam Bondi says Justice Department will ensure maximum transparency in the probe.
Jakarta and New Delhi negotiate a BrahMos supersonic cruise missile deal. Indonesia's defense minister, in his visit to India next week, is expected to hold talks on possible missile exports.
Ukrainian rescuers worked through the night after a Russian barrage of drones and missiles strike apartment blocks in Ternopil, killing at least 26 people, including 3 children.
UK Defence Ministry releases images of Russian spy ship Yantar, which entered UK waters between the 5th and the 11th of November. Britain warns military options are ready after the vessel allegedly targeted monitoring pilots with lasers.
Israeli airstrikes in Gaza killed 27 people, 14 in the Gaza city in north and 13 in Khan Yunis area in south, with Israel and Hamas each accusing the other of violating ceasefire in the Palestinian territory.
Mexican officials announced the arrest of one of the alleged masterminds behind the murder of a crime-fighting city mayor, whose death unleashed huge anti-government protests and a flood of federal forces to the region.
All 267 passengers and crew are safely rescued after their ferry runs aground on an uninhabited island of South Korea's southwestern coast. The passenger vessel was traveling from Jeju Island to Mokpo when it ran aground.
NASA releases close-up images of interstellar comet 3I Atlas, the third known visitor to our solar system, which recently passed safely by Mars. Astronomers continue to monitor it with ground telescopes.
Federal Reserve meeting minutes reveal deep divisions, with many officials opposing a December rate cut amid persistent inflation concerns and poor visibility on key economic data.
PSG's Ashraf Hakimi is the 2025 African Footballer of the Year. The Moroccan star becomes the first defender in 52 years to win the award. Morocco captain Ghislaine Chebak wins the women's prize. And a new United States peace proposal is drawing attention for terms that would require Ukraine to cede territory.
And of course, also sharply reduce the size of its army. And according to sources, the draft calls for recognition of Crimea and other regions which are captured by the Russian forces, and for Ukraine's army to be reduced to about 400,000 personnel. Well, the proposal mirrors long-standing Russian demands that Ukraine has repeatedly rejected.
The development comes as Russia launched one of its deadliest strikes in western Ukraine since the war began in 2022. Missiles hit the city of Ternopil, far from the front line, destroying the upper floors of a residential building.
Ukrainian officials say at least 26 people were killed, including 3 children and around 80 others who were wounded. According to Ukraine, Russia fired 467 drones and 48 missiles nationwide, targeting energy and transport infrastructure and forcing emergency power cuts as temperatures dropped.
United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk said that he was appalled by the civilian casualties in Ternopil. He said the impact of long-range missiles combined with waves of drones used by Russian forces was once again clearly evident.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's attempt to re-engage the US administration during a visit to Turkey did not move forward after American envoy Steve Witkoff, expected to join him, did not travel.
Turkey's President Erdogan reiterated his call for both sides to resume talks in Istanbul. 3 rounds of negotiations there this year have so far resulted only in prisoner exchanges, and the return of soldiers remains. Now, in Kiev, senior US military leaders held talks with Ukrainian officials. US Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll and Army Chief of Staff General Randy George, they met Ukraine's defense minister and commander-in-chief of its armed forces during what the US embassy described as a fact-finding mission. According to Ukrainian officials, the delegation was briefed on Russia's troop build-up and ongoing offensive operations.
In Moscow, President Vladimir Putin called for the creation of a national task force to advance Russia's homegrown generative artificial intelligence models. He said that developing domestic AI systems was critical to safeguarding Russian sovereignty, while warning against excessive regulation of the sector.
Our country must possess a full range of its own technologies and products in the field of generative artificial intelligence. First and foremost, these are national language models, both fundamental and small, for specific industries. Having our own technologies isn't the only important factor. It's also crucial to ensure their widespread practical use and achieve frontline implementation in industry, transportation, healthcare, public administration, and other sectors.
And London raises the stakes as a Russian spy ship prowls British waters.
Tensions soar with warnings that a military force is on standby. Undersea secrets are in the balance and Britain is ready to strike. Now, the clock is ticking on the shadowy Russian spy ship Yantar, which is lurking close to UK's shores. British defense chiefs have made it clear, if this vessel steps up its intelligence gathering or threatens security, military options are locked and loaded.
That Russian action is deeply dangerous. And this is the second time this year that this ship, the Yantar, has deployed to UK waters. So my message to Russia and to Putin is this. We see you, we know what you're doing, and if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
Well, the Yantar is no ordinary ship. It's a hulking, heavily equipped spy vessel with robotic submersibles capable of mapping and tapping undersea cables, the hidden arteries of Britain's digital and military communications.
The British Ministry of Defence says that it won't tolerate shadowy games. Pilots have been scrambled, naval assets put on high alert, and surveillance has been increased.
This is a vessel designed for gathering intelligence and mapping our undersea cables. We deployed a Royal Navy frigate and RAF P-8 planes to monitor and track this vessel's every move, during which the Yantar directed lasers at our pilots.
The message from London is simple. Espionage near British waters crosses a red line. Military muscle is primed for action with contingency plans ready to counter any hostile moves up to and including disabling the spy ship.
Well, this isn't the first time the junta has probed Britain's defences. After a warning last year, the junta left UK waters for the Mediterranean. When the Russian ship later sailed through the English Channel in January, it was followed by HMS Somerset, a frigate assigned to homeland defence in the waters around Britain.
The UK and its NATO allies are concerned about the risk Russia poses to offshore cables, pipelines and other infrastructure critical to internet connectivity. Moscow has previously refuted such allegations, calling the movement of its ships as routine. Shifting focus to West Asia, Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 27 people in Gaza as both Israel and Hamas accuse each other.
Of course, of violating this fragile ceasefire. And now officials in Gaza have said that Israeli airstrikes hit both the north and south of the Strip on Wednesday. According to the territory's civil defense agency, 14 people were killed in Gaza City and 13 in Khan Yunis.
Israeli occupation forces are clearly targeting and escalating operations in the Gaza Strip. Multiple locations in the Strip, particularly in Gaza City, have been targeted. The latest target was the Awqaf building in the Zaytun neighborhood at Askola Crossroad, directly with a warplane with 2 rockets.
Israel said that it launched the strikes after Hamas allegedly opened fire towards Israeli troops in the south, something that Israel says violates the ceasefire agreement.
Well, Hamas has denied the claim, calling the attacks a dangerous escalation that threatens to collapse the truce.
The ceasefire is part of a US brokered deal tied to President Donald Trump's multi-stage peace plan. While all living hostages have been returned to Israel, 3 bodies still remain in Gaza.
The implementation of the plan's next phase, which includes disarming Hamas, forming a transitional authority and deploying an international stabilization force, remains stalled. This week, the UN Security Council endorsed the US plan, but Hamas rejected the resolution, saying it does not meet Palestinians' political and humanitarian demands.
Israel also carried out strikes in southern Lebanon, targeting what it called were Hezbollah weapons storage facilities.
The Israeli military released video claiming the sites were located in the heart of the civilian population. It accused the Iran-backed group of trying to rebuild its capabilities.
The strained China-Japan ties are at the risk of worsening even further.
Well, during a parliamentary meeting on November 7th, Japanese Prime Minister Sane Takaichi claimed that a Taiwan emergency could constitute what she called a survival-threatening situation for Japan. And this, she said, would allow Japan to exercise its right to collective self-defense.
China called the Japanese Prime Minister's remarks as provocative and said that her comments on Taiwan have trampled on international justice, challenged the post-war international order, and severely undermined China-Japan ties.
I must stress once again that the Taiwan question is China's internal affair that brooks no external interference. The Japanese side should immediately cease interfering in China's internal affairs, stop provoking or crossing the red line, and refrain from moving further down the wrong path.
The timing of Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi's remarks infuriated Beijing. Her statement came shortly after Beijing designated October 25th as the day to commemorate Taiwan's liberation from Japanese occupation 80 years ago.
Now, in addition, Beijing held high-profile events in the months of August and September to mark the 80th anniversary of China's victory against Japanese aggression in World War II. That culminated with a massive military parade on September 3rd.
Takaichi, a hardline nationalist who took office less than a month ago in Japan, also infuriated Beijing by publicizing her meeting with a Taiwanese representative at a regional summit in Seoul in early November.
Survival threatening situations is a legal term that allows Japan's premiers to deploy the country's self-defense forces. It is defined broadly in a controversial 2015 law that expanded the scope of when the pacifist country's military could act. The law, which marked a drastic shift in Japan's post-war security policy, was met with large protests at the time.
The current diplomatic row over the Taiwan issue is, however, not new. In April 2023, then Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida told Parliament that peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is important not just to Japan's security, but also to the stability of the entire international community.
In December 2021, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's remarks had elicited a harsh reaction in Beijing, including an emergency meeting with Japan's ambassador to China. Abe had said, and I'm quoting here, "A Taiwan contingency is a contingency for Japan. In other words, it is also a contingency for the Japan-US alliance. People in Beijing, particularly President Xi Jinping, should not misjudge that."
In June of 2021, China warned Japan after its then Prime Minister Suga referred to Taiwan as a country during a meeting of international delegations. The country's bicameral legislature, in his first one-on-one parliamentary debate with opposition leaders, Suga named Australia, New Zealand and Taiwan, said such three countries have been imposing strong restrictions on privacy rights to curb the novel coronavirus outbreak.
The present diplomatic row is seen as an escalation of a complex and unresolved wartime history between the two countries. Beijing sees Taiwan as part of China to be reunited by force if necessary. From Beijing's point of view, recognition of its position on Taiwan is fundamental to any country establishing diplomatic ties with China. And most countries, including Japan and the United States, do not recognize Taiwan as an independent state. The US is opposed to any attempt to take the self-ruled island by force and has committed military aid to Taiwan. US President Donald Trump has vowed to end Sudan's civil war at the request of Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
Trump condemned the tremendous atrocities while admitting that the war between Sudan's army and its paramilitary rapid support forces was not on his charts before Prince Salman pushed him to get involved. Trump said that he would now work to stabilize the conflict with regional powers, notably including the United Arab Emirates.
It's great to be here today at the U.S. Saudi Investment Forum. And I'll tell you, His Majesty would like me to do something very powerful having to do with Sudan. It was not on my charts to be involved in that. I thought it was just something that was crazy and out of control. But I just see how important that is to you and to a lot of your friends in the room. Sudan, and we're going to start working in Sudan. I didn't think that that was one that was going to be so easy to do, but we're going to start working.
The United Nations has repeatedly called for greater global attention to the war, which has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced nearly 12 million since its outbreak in April 2023.
Sudan's Sovereign Council, which is headed by its army chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, said that it was ready to cooperate with the US and Riyadh. In a statement, the council thanked Washington and Riyadh for their continued support and its efforts to stop Sudanese bloodshed. International attention on the conflict has increased since the RSF recently seized the key Darfur city of El Fasher after a relentless siege that has spared warnings of crimes against humanity and genocide. Trump's popularity as the American president continues to plummet, and this is after a record-long government shutdown which ended, and the Jeffrey Epstein saga which continues to haunt the Republican leader.
Well, the latest poll was conducted a day before congressional lawmakers passed an overwhelming vote demanding the release of Epstein files. But even other issues are plaguing the Trump administration as disapproval escalates not just among Democrats, but Republicans as well.
Here's a look at the latest numbers from the Reuters Ipsos poll. Overall, an overwhelming 60% of Americans disapprove of Trump's second presidency so far. Only 38% of people approve of the Republican leader's handling of several issues.
Well, the latest percentage marks a substantial downfall from the first popularity numbers when Trump had taken oath at the beginning of this year. In January, Reuters Ipsos poll pegged Trump's popularity as 47%. Now, the latest poll registers a 9% decline, putting the US president at 28% approval now.
The poll specifically looks at American opinion on the Epstein file saga that continues to plague Trump and his administration. 59% disapprove of how the US president has handled this issue, while only 20% approve of it. Specifically on the alleged Epstein client list, 61% Americans agree that the current administration hid it, while only 15% disagree with the stance and say that the government has not hidden the list.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has issued a call to the Labour Party to unite.
This comes as a reaction to declining popularity and reports of a possible challenge to his leadership. In his weekly cabinet meeting, Starmer warned senior ministers and officials to stop briefing against one another and refrain from leaking details of the upcoming budget. Starmer's comments also come a day after he vowed to lead the Labour Party into the next election. This is despite new polls suggesting that nearly half of Labour voters want him out.
Our recent YouGov survey of 2,100 Labour voters shows that 23% say that Starmer should quit. Another 22% want him to step down before the next election. And only 34% believe that he should lead the Labour Party into the contest.
Starmer's dwindling popularity comes against the backdrop of reports that suggest there are growing concerns among Labour MPs that Starmer is becoming a liability, with talks of a possible leadership challenge after local elections in May.
Last week, reports emerged that Finance Minister Rachel Reeves has abandoned her plans to raise income tax in the coming budget. Well, reports suggest that Starmer and Rachel Reeves had planned to communicate the decision gradually over the week, but were blindsided by leaks which made it to the press. Well, Reeves has now called the leaks unacceptable.
Well, leaks are not acceptable, but people only have to wait a week now until I deliver my budget on Wednesday, the 26th of November. The priorities of that budget will be to tackle the cost of living, to get NHS waiting lists down and to reduce the national debt. Those are the priorities of the British people, and they'll be my priorities as I go into the budget next week.
The crisis within the ruling party comes on the heels of polls giving Nigel Farage's Reform UK a clear lead over Labour, according to a survey by More in Common. If elections were held in the UK today, Farage's Reform UK could emerge on top with 31% votes, while the Labour Party will be a distant second with 20% as Labour continues to trail Reform UK. Many believe Starmer could face a leadership contest very soon. Houses reduced to rubble. Thick plumes of smoke engulf hundreds of buildings.
And this as Japan battles one of its biggest urban fires in almost half a century. The blaze has ripped through more than 170 buildings and killed one person. Take a look. A ferry in South Korea ran aground on an uninhabited island off the country's southwestern coast.
Now, the passenger vessel was travelling from Jeju Island to the port city of Mokpo when it ran aground. No serious injuries were reported, and 246 passengers, 21 crew were safely moved to a nearby port on rescue ships.
I thought I might die. The sound was too loud. It sounded like a big accident. But having seen the Sewol ferry, I knew that in situations like this, you have to stay calm, move outside, wear a life jacket and wait. It seems like a lot of people did the same.
Authorities suspect human error may be to blame for the incident. South Korea's Coast Guard commissioner told reporters that a preliminary assessment suggests that the accident was likely caused by errors made by the crew. An investigation is ongoing into the matter.
In 2014, a ferry carrying more than 470 passengers, mostly pupils, on a school trip capsized off the southwestern coast, killing 304 people in South Korea's worst maritime disaster. And Afghanistan's Minister of Industry and Commerce, Al-Haj Nuruddin Azizi, has kicked off his India visit from today.
And this marks one of the highest level visits from the Taliban government to India since their takeover of Kabul in August 2021. Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi also visited India last month.
Now, Azizi will be in India for a 5-day official visit. During his visit, Azizi is scheduled to meet with Indian officials, particularly those involved in trade and commerce. The visiting Afghan minister is also expected to visit the India International Trade Fair 2025. His visit to India aims to expand Afghanistan's foreign trade options and strengthen ties with India at a time when Kabul is diversifying beyond Pakistan.
While ties between Kabul and Islamabad have worsened in recent months, the Torkham border has remained closed since Pakistan launched strikes inside Afghan territory. And due to this, Afghanistan is routing more trade through Iran's Chabahar port and through its direct air links with India.
India had also restored the status of its technical mission in Kabul to that of an embassy following Afghan Foreign Minister Muttaqi's India visit. Earlier, Amir Khan Muttaqi, Afghanistan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, concluded a 6-day visit to India in the month of October. And during his visit, Muttaqi said that India and Afghanistan agreed to establish a trade committee to enhance economic cooperation. Now, Azizi's India visit continues that momentum and signals Afghanistan's intent to bolster ties with India, which shares strong development and humanitarian ties with the country already.
And with that, it's time for a short break on World DNA.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the other side when we come back. Full report on Nitish Kumar, who is all set to take oath as the Bihar Chief Minister for the 10th time. Kumar was unanimously elected as the legislative leader of the NDA a day before the swearing-in ceremony. We'll bring you the details on that and a lot more lined up for you. Come right back after this short break. This is World DNA.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Deeksha. I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines at this hour. This is World DNA.
Nitish Kumar will be sworn in as Chief Minister of Bihar for the 10th time today. Along with him, 18 MLAs from 5 parties will take oath as ministers. Prime Minister Modi, along with BJP Chief Ministers from other states, will attend this ceremony.
India's Supreme Court will today deliver its opinion on a presidential reference under Article 143 seeking clarity on whether governors can be given timelines to act on state legislature bills.
Jakarta and New Delhi negotiate a BrahMos supersonic cruise missile deal. Indonesia's defense minister, in his visit to India next week, is expected to hold talks on possible missile exports.
Donald Trump says he has signed a bill requiring his administration to release files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says Justice Department will ensure maximum transparency in the probe.
Ukrainian rescuers worked through the night after a Russian barrage of drones and missile strikes apartment blocks in Ternopil, killing at least 26 people, including 3 children.
UK Defence Ministry releases images of Russian spy ship Yantar, which entered UK waters between November 5th to 11th. Britain warns military options are ready after vessel allegedly targeted monitoring pilots with lasers.
Israeli airstrikes on Gaza killed 27 people, 14 in the Gaza city in north and 13 in Khan Yunis area in south, with Israel and Hamas each accusing the other of violating ceasefire in the Palestinian territory.
NASA releases close-up images of interstellar comet 3I Atlas, the third known visitor to our solar system, which recently passed safely by Mars. Astronomers continue to monitor it with ground telescopes.
US clears export of advanced NVIDIA AI chips to UAE's G42, marking a strategic win for Abu Dhabi. The deal opens access to tens of thousands of Blackwell processors amid deepening US-UAE AI tech ties.
Italy overpowers Austria in the Davis Cup to reach the semi-finals. The wins move them a step closer to becoming the first nation to win 3 consecutive titles in 53 years.
Nitish Kumar is all set to take oath as the Bihar Chief Minister for the 10th time today.
Now, this is after he staked a claim to form the government in the state following the National Democratic Alliance NDA's landslide victory in the assembly elections. Kumar was unanimously elected as the legislative leader of the NDA a day before the swearing-in ceremony, and that is on Wednesday, along with Kumar's deputies Samrat Chaudhary and Vijay Kumar Sinha. LJP-RV Chief Chirag Paswan and BJP President from the state Dilip Kumar Jaiswal were present on the occasion.
Kumar will be taking oath at Patna's historic Gandhi Maidan. In addition to the Chief Minister, 18 MLAs from 5 parties will also be sworn in as ministers. 7 from JDU, 8 from BJP and 1 each from LJP-RV, HAM and RLM. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Home Minister Amit Shah and other prominent leaders of the NDA will attend the swearing-in ceremony.
Various chief ministers of NDA-ruled states are also expected to attend the ceremony. Amit Shah and JP Nadda, who is the Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers, as well as the BJP National President, have already reached Patna ahead of the oath ceremony.
The NDA registered a historic landslide victory, winning 202 of the 243 seats, while the Grand Alliance managed to secure only 35 seats.
Narendra Modi!
India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met his Bangladeshi counterpart Dr. Khalilur Rahman in New Delhi.
And this comes just a day after a Dhaka court sentenced Bangladesh's exiled former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to death and renewed calls for her extradition from India.
Dr. Rahman arrived in the Indian capital on Tuesday evening for a 2-day conclave that began on Wednesday, focusing on maritime domain awareness, counter-terrorism and disaster response.
The closely watched bilateral meeting between both officials took place ahead of the 7th NSA-level meeting of the Colombo Security Conclave hosted by India to be attended by counterparts from Sri Lanka, Maldives and Mauritius.
In an official statement, the Bangladesh High Commission in New Delhi described the discussion as constructive, and this marks the first time that the Bangladeshi NSA was to India since the interim government assumed power in Bangladesh in August of last year. This is also the highest level contact between New Delhi and Dhaka since Indian Prime Minister Modi and interim chief advisor to Bangladeshi government Yunus met in Bangkok on the sidelines of the BIMSTEC summit.
Relations between both the countries have remained largely frosty since Bangladesh accused India of sheltering the ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. India, meanwhile, expressed concern over rising anti-India sentiment and the safety of Bangladesh's Hindu minority.
However, before Dr. Rahman's departure, the Yunus administration signalled that regional cooperation remains a priority. An earlier government announcement stressed that Bangladesh had actively participated in meetings of various regional bodies.
At least 29 people, including patients, were killed in an attack in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
The attack is blamed on rebels from the Allied Democratic Forces who targeted a health center and several villages. Following the attack, which reportedly took place on Friday night, close to 23 bodies were recovered by residents and local officials in the DRC's North Kivu province.
The victims from the health facility reportedly included 11 women, while additional civilians were killed in 3 nearby villages. The health center that was attacked serves as a referral health center for residents, including those who were displaced by the ongoing violence.
Local media reports suggest that the rebels also burned part of facilities' buildings along with several homes. The attack came weeks after about 20 civilians were killed and several others injured in an attack blamed on the ADF rebels in the same territory in October. Ugandan and Congolese forces have carried out joint operations against the rebels since 2021. NASA released new images of an interstellar comet that's making a rare visit to our solar system now.
The comet was first spotted in July by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System telescope in Chile, and since then, NASA scientists have been tracking its trajectory. The unusual trajectory and composition of the 3I Atlas sparked speculation about its origins. While some had suggested it could be alien technology, experts have dismissed this theory, confirming that it's indeed a comet and poses no threat to Earth. It is only the third confirmed object ever observed to have originated from another star system. This fleeting cosmic visitor zipped harmlessly post-Mars last month.
But to start with, I'd like to address the rumors right at the beginning. I think it's important that we talk about that. This object is a comet. It looks and behaves like a comet and all evidence points to it being a comet. But this came from outside the solar system, which makes it fascinating, exciting, and scientifically very important.
NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office they studied it, and they established that 3I Atlas is not a danger to Earth.
Several NASA spacecraft and European Space Agency satellites around Mars have made observations of the comet, which is believed to be anywhere between 1,444 feet and 3.5 miles across. The comet is currently 307 million kilometers from Earth and will make its closest approach in mid-December. It's visible from Earth in the pre-dawn sky with binoculars or a telescope.
There is circumstantial evidence, given how fast it has come in to our solar system, that it came from some very old population, some solar system around a very old star. Quite possibly, we can't say this for sure, but the likelihood is it came from a solar system older than our own solar system itself, which gives me goosebumps to think about, frankly, because that means the 3I Atlas is not just a window into another solar system, it's a window into the deep past, and so deep in the past that it predates even the formation of our Earth and our Sun.
Well, there have been several claims on this, perhaps till now, in different findings, but science now claims that the first case may have happened 21 million years ago. More in this next report. Take a look.
Forget everything you thought you knew about kissing. This isn't about moonlit nights or love letters. This is deep time, where instinct shaped the future. Scientists have dug into the fossil record, looked closely at our primate cousins, and found a fascinating insight. New research suggests that the behavior we now call kissing likely emerged among primates around 21 million years ago, long before culture, poetry, or romance ever existed. Researchers at the University of Oxford looked into evolutionary origins of kissing and its role in relations between species. Scientists studying fossil lineages and modern primate behavior have found strong clues. Many primates, chimpanzees, bonobos, macaques, press faces, touch lips, and exchange breath as part of bonding, conflict resolution, and mate selection. This isn't sentimental, it's strategy, a biological tool for survival, a way to signal trust, reduce aggression, and assess health. If our closest relatives do it, the logic follows. Early hominids, a primate of a family which includes humans, almost certainly did too. Not as a gesture of love, but as communication, silent, direct, loaded with evolutionary purpose. Recent genetic evidence adds another twist. Researchers analyzing ancient DNA say that contact-based interactions, including mouth-to-mouth behavior, may have played a role in transmitting microbes between early human species. Some pathogens that shaped human immunity today trace their origins to prehistoric exchanges between early Homo and Neanderthals. It wasn't romance, it was biology, crossing lines, sharing strengths, sharing weaknesses, shaping future generations. For scientists, it's a revolution in understanding, a gesture surviving through the ages, outlasting empires and ice ages, etched on our DNA. The next time two lovers meet, remember the story began not in the heat of passion, but in the struggle for survival. Evolution's greatest handshake began with a kiss. Bureau Report, WION World is one.
All right, moving on. The principle of the Federal Reserve's independence is that its objective can be determined by its policymakers.
They cannot be dictated by the president, but rather by a congressional approval for a significant change. But try telling that to Donald Trump. Now, the president has turned his desire to bend the Fed to his will into a near-daily drumbeat. Trump is no longer satisfied, merely cajoling Fed boss Jerome Too Late Powell, as he calls him, as he's nicknamed the Fed chair, and his chorus singing administration wants larger and faster rate cuts to boost the economy. But Trump's global tariffs have weighed on the Fed's ability to ease policy amidst inflation concerns from those very import duties.
And eggs are way down now. Mortgage rates are down despite the Fed. Scott, you got to work on this guy. He's got some real mental problems. No, he's something wrong with him. It's just sweet. I'd be honest. I'd love to fire his ass. He should be fired. Guy's grossly incompetent. And he should be sued for spending $4 billion to build a little building. I'm building a ballroom that's going to cost a tiny fraction of that, and it's bigger than the whole thing put together. You got to work at him, Scott. The only thing Scott's blowing it on is the Fed. Because the Fed, the rates are too high, Scott. And if you don't get it fixed fast, I'm going to fire your ass, okay?
Bloomberg analysis shows the president's fight with the Fed could trigger a stagflation slump. And amidst this, Trump wants to install a low-rates major supermajority on the Federal Open Market Committee, or the FOMC, to that effect. Trump is set to announce the next Fed chief by Christmas to replace Powell.
The central bank, for its part, has stood its ground despite missing its inflation target for more than 4 years. But the White House, openly challenging its own central bank's independence, has its share of risks. In addition, record high government debt and Trump's brinksmanship means American assets no longer inspire the same confidence they once did. The dollar was once a shield, but now it's a sword, with the US using it for geopolitical leverage.
Now, as a result, the global south is losing faith in the dollar. At the turn of the century, the dollar accounted for more than 70% of global forex reserves, and now it's less than 60%. For America, that matters. If countries start to unload dollars from their forex war chest, borrowing costs for the US will surge further, and that would make Trump's attempt to force the Fed's hand to lower rates meaningless.
Nvidia crushed Wall Street expectations on Wednesday, posting stronger than expected quarterly earnings.
And of course, earnings and sales, while issuing an optimistic revenue forecast for the fourth quarter. A strong forecast reignites investor confidence in semiconductor and generative AI sector, which sent AI stocks soaring. Nvidia shares jumped over 5% in the after hours of the market. Asian markets also rose on Thursday, driven by the rally in Asian chip stocks following the trend in US. Take a look at this next report for more details.
Nvidia blew past Wall Street expectations after the closing bell on Wednesday, reporting stronger than expected quarterly profit and sales. It also issued an upbeat revenue forecast, betting on booming demand for its AI chips from cloud providers, despite growing concerns about an AI bubble. The report sent shares up 4% in after-hours trading, and it marks a defining moment for Wall Street. Global markets look to Nvidia, which is the world's most valuable company, to determine whether investing billions of dollars in AI infrastructure expansion has resulted in towering valuations that potentially outpace fundamentals. Ahead of the results, doubts had pushed Nvidia shares down nearly 8% in November, after a 1,200% surge in the past 3 years. CEO Jensen Huang said sales of its Blackwell chips are, quote, off the charts, and added, the AI ecosystem is scaling fast, with more new foundation model makers, more AI startups across more industries and in more countries. AI is going everywhere, doing everything all at once. Big tech, among Nvidia's largest customers, has doubled down on spending to expand AI data centers and snatch the most advanced, pricey chips as it commits to multi-billion, multi-gigawatt build-outs.
And India's run at the Fight World Cup in Goa has come to an end.
Arjun Erigasi, the last remaining Indian in the tournament, was knocked out in the quarterfinals after a tough rapid tie-break against China's Wei Yi. Now, Erigasi fought hard through the classical games. Both matches against Wei Yi ended in draws. pushing their quarterfinal into the rapid tiebreaks. In the first rapid game, Agassi showed superb defense, surviving a lost position to salvage a draw with the black pieces. But in the second game, there was no escape. The Indian Grandmaster lost in 79 moves, ending his campaign and India's hopes of securing a candidate spot through this World Cup. And this is Agassi's second straight exit in the World Cup quarters, after he lost at the same stage in 2023 to compatriot Ramesh Babu Pragnanandhan.
Well, India started the event with the record 24 players, including world champion Gukesh and former finalist Prag. But Agassi was the only one to reach the last 8 this year. The result also means that Pragnanandhan may be India's sole representative in the next candidates, where the challenger to world champion Gukesh will be decided.
Oliver icon Tom Hanks marked the official opening of his new Broadway production titled This World of Tomorrow in New York. More in this next report. Take a look.
Well, that's all we had for you in this edition of World DNA.
Before we slip into a short break, here's a look at all the climate stories making headlines. Stay with us. This is WION World is One. News and updates continue on the other side.